It's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have for us to do these cute little toddler hats made with Lion Brand One Hat Wonder. These hats will fit approximately a 14 to 16 inch head. You can make a little bit bigger hat. I have an example of that right here too. I did make a little bit bigger hat with the Grover head. This one will fit, and hat, I can wear this hat, and I have a 21 inch head, so you can make one bigger. You do have enough yarn to make a larger hat, but today I'm going to be making this toddler size hat. So I'm going to drop down the camera and talk about the yarn that you're going to need, not only the One Hat Wonder, but this extra band color and the hook sizes and anything else that you'll need to make this cute little toddler hat. The yarn I used is a Lion Brand One Hat Wonder. You'll need one ball per hat. Today we're going to be doing Oscar the Grouch. They come in different Sesame Street characters. This is a 100% polyester yarn. It comes in a 2.5 ounce, 70 gram, 95 yard, 87 meter ball. They have different Sesame Street characters. We have Big Bird, Elmo, Cookie Monster, Oscar the Grouch, Abby, Cat Abby, Bert, Ernie, Super Grover, and the Count. I've seen these on Lion Brand. That's where I purchased these. You can get them on Hirschner's. I've seen them on Joann's. People sell them on Etsy. I've seen them, like I said, on multiple different places online. If perchance that you happen to find these in your local craft store, drop me a comment below and tell me what store you have seen them in. So far, I've only seen these online. The next yarn that you will need is some type of a solid yarn that goes well with the color hat that you're making. I chose Red Heart Super Saver. You can use whatever medium for worsted weight yarn that you choose. I would suggest either an 100% acrylic like Red Heart Super Saver or some type of a polyester yarn that would match the one ball, the One Hat Wonder yarn. Like I said, Red Heart Super Saver is a 100% acrylic yarn. The balls come in a 7 ounce, 198 gram, 364 yards, 333 meters. Now you will not need a whole ball of yarn to make the band on this toddler hat. I used approximately 52 yards or 1 ounce. If you are stash diving, I would suggest that you weigh your yarn and get approximately 50, 60, maybe even 70 yards or 1 to 2 ounces of yarn, just to make sure that you have enough yarn to complete your band. Today I'm going to be using my Clover Amour hooks. The first hook you will use is for your band, and that's going to be an H or a 5.0 millimeter hook. For the hat body, I used an I 5.5 millimeter hook. You're going to need a tape measurer, a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and a pair of scissors to cut off your yarn. And you will need at least 1 stitch marker, I would suggest. You don't have to use these locking stitch markers like I have. You can use just a piece of colored yarn that is different than the color you're working with. Once you have all of your supplies, let's get started. Before I jump into today's tutorial, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that little icon down in the corner. That'll automatically subscribe you to my channel. And while you're down there, go ahead and ring that bell. That'll notify you whenever I upload a new video. And if you like content like this, please give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you like my videos, and it also helps me know what types of videos you would like to see on my channel. So to start our hat, we're going to be starting with our H hook, 5.0 millimeter hook, a slip knot on our hook, and a chain of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to start second chain from hook. The loop on our hook does not count as a stitch. I'm going to go ahead and flip our chain over, and we're going to work in those back bumps of the chain. So we're going to do second chain. This first one's kind of hidden, it's right there. And then we're going to go to the second one, and we're going to put a single crochet in there. So it's kind of, depending on how your tension is, it might be a little tight to get in there. And we're just going to go ahead and put a single crochet. And we're going to single crochet in each one of those bumps. So you see that bump, and you're just going to slip your hook in it and single crochet. So you should have 6 single crochets when you get to the end of the chain. It's 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's our last one, 6. So now we have 6 single crochets. We're going to chain 1, turn the work, and in that very first stitch, go ahead and place a single crochet. And in the next 4 stitches, we're going to work in the back loop only. And this is your front loop, this is your back loop, and we're going to work just in that back loop. So we're going to stick the hook in the back loop for 4 stitches. Go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in that last stitch, which is right here, kind of looks a little sideways, you're going to go through both loops and do a regular single crochet. Chain 1, turn the work, and you're going to repeat that. So a regular single crochet, and then in the back loop only, in the next 4 stitches, single crochet. And the last stitch, which is right here, kind of looks a little on its side. Go through both loops and do a regular single crochet. You're just going to keep repeating that until you have 55 rows. So that was row 3. This is row 4. I said you're just going to keep repeating a single crochet, and then the next 4 stitches, single crochet in the back loop only. And then in the last single crochet, in the last stitch, a single crochet through both loops. And that's going to give you that ridged appearance for your band. So that's 4 rows, turn, we're going to start row 5. Again, 4 stitches in the back loops. And I'll do one more with you. Chain 1, turn, 1 regular single crochet, and 4 single crochets in the back loop. And this should be row 6. And 1 single crochet in both loops. And if you're unsure how to count your rows, a good way to do is you see how these indents, you can go 2, 4, 6, or you can go 1, 2, 3, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 2, 4, 6. So you want to keep on going until you have 55 rows. Once you have 55 rows, come on back and I'll meet back up with you. Now that we have our 55 rows, just take a second to pause, get your tape measure out, and measure the length of your band. It should measure between 14.5 and 15 inches. If your band is less than 14.5 inches, add a couple more rows to your band till you have 14.5 inches. If your band is more than 15 inches, frog back a couple of rows till you have 15 inches. This is important because you don't want your hat to be too big or too small. Just bear in mind that if you have to add rows or take off rows, that your total stitch count is going to be a little bit different than the stitch count that I'm working with, because my band is 55 inches, or excuse me, 55 rows. So my total stitch count will be 55. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn the work. And let me drop the camera down just a little bit so you can get a better look. We're going to go ahead and fold up our band so that row 1 meets row 55, and we're going to slip stitch the band together. We're going to get both loops of that first stitch, and we're going to slip it into the bottom of the chain of row 1. And slip stitch. We're going to go in the back loop of the next 4 stitches and slip stitch. And then when we get to the last stitch, we're going to go through both loops, and this will create another rib. Chain 1, and we open it up and it'll look just like another rib, but we're going to go ahead and turn that to the inside, turn the work so our right side is facing out, and now we're going to work along the ends of the rows, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in the end of each rows, and you'll notice these like little gaps at the end of the rows. That's where you're going to place your stitches. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and you should have, if you have the 55 rows, you should have 55 stitches around your band. If you have more rows, you're going to have more stitches. If you have less, you're going to have less stitches. But it should ultimately be the same size hat because your band is the same length. So don't worry about the size of the hat, it should still be the same size. Just continue putting 1 single crochet into the end of each row till you get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. And we made it all the way back around. We have 55 single crochet in round 1. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch to that first single crochet that we made. To start round 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a half double crochet right back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And we're going to go ahead and mark that stitch with our stitch marker as the first stitch of the round. We are going to be working in joined rounds, which that means we're going to be slip stitching at the end of each round. The next stitch we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only. Let's just go into that back loop, so just one loop, and work a half double crochet. The next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet in the front loop only, so just the front loop. Next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet in the back loop. The next stitch, front loop, half double crochet. Next stitch, back loop, half double crochet. Next front loop, half double crochet. We're going to continue that pattern all the way around, alternating back loop and front loop, half double crochet. I'm at the end of round 2. We still have 55 stitches. We have 55 half double crochet. We're going to take our stitch marker out and slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made. To start round 3, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and half double crochet right back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, and replace our stitch marker. And since we started round 2 off with a back loop half double crochet, for round 3 we're going to start with a front loop half double crochet. And the next stitch will be a back loop half double crochet, and next stitch a front loop half double crochet, and back loop and front loop. So we're just working starting with the opposites. Front loop and back loop. So we're going to continue working that pattern all the way around till you come back to the beginning. I've made it all the way back around. I still have 55 stitches. We're going to pop out that stitch marker and slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made. For rows 4 through 6, we're just going to be repeating rows 2 and 3. So rows 4 through 6 is going to be 2, 3, 2. So you're going to repeat 2, 3, 2. So now we're going to be starting row 4, and that's going to be a repeat of row 2. So chain 1, go right back into that same stitch with a half double crochet, and we're going to put our stitch marker in, and you're going to start with a back loop half double crochet. Then front loop, back loop, front loop, and back loop. So continue repeating rows 2 and 3 till you get to row 6, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 6. I'm at the end of round 6, and we're going to change colors and change hook size. We can do this. You can do this 2 different ways. You can go ahead and slip stitch to that mark stitch, that first half double crochet, and fasten off and then attach your new color. Or you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker and change your hook size and go ahead and change colors as you slip stitch. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up my new color, which is we're going to switch to the one ball, the one hat color, one hat wonder color. I got to get that, spit that all out. I'm going to pull up that new color, and I'm going to go ahead and do my chain 1, and I'm going to tie these together just to secure them. And we're going to go ahead and clip off the green because I'm not going to need this color anymore. So we're going to go ahead and clip that off. You can work over these tails or just pull them to the side and weave them in later, which is what I'm going to do right now, just so that it'll make it a little bit easier for the tutorial. To start round 7, we're going to half double crochet into the same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And since this is a repeat of round 3, we're going to do a front loop half double crochet, then back loop, front loop, and back loop, front loop, and back loop. So we're going to repeat our pattern all the way around using our new color, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. And at the end of round 7, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the first half double crochet that we made. We still have 55 stitches. To start the next round, which is be round 8, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and half double crochet back into that same stitch. So this is going to be a repeat of round 2. Round 2 starts off in the back loop. So we're going to do a back loop, half double crochet in the next stitch. Don't forget to place your stitch marker if you need it. And do front loop and back loop, front loop and back loop, front loop and back loop, front loop and back loop. Continue your pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. We're at the end of the round. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch to our first half double crochet that we made. So this was a repeat of round 2, so our next round is going to be a repeat of round 3. From here on out, we're going to be just repeating round 2 and 3 over and over again until we get our hat to measure 10 inches from the bottom of the brim to the top of the hat. Now, if you forget which round you just previous did, either 2 or 3, so you're not sure if you should start in the front loop or the back loop, there's an easy way to check that out. So you go ahead and you start your round, so you chain 1, and you go in and do your first half double crochet, and go ahead and mark that stitch. And then look at the round below and look for the front loop. If you find that front loop right there, that means you know that the previous round was started in the back loop. So this round, you want to start in the front loop. Just like that. If you don't find this loop right here, you don't find that free loop, then you know that you need to start. Whoops, don't want to pull that stitch. You don't find that loop, then you know you need to start in the back loop. So that's just a little reminder of what loop you need to start in. Of course, make sure you don't split your yarn. There you go. So then you just go ahead and continue your pattern, working in the front loop and back loops for the rest of your row or round. And we're going, once you get to a full 10 inches on your hat, I will meet back up with you and we can finish our hat together. My hat now measures 10 inches. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made. And we're going to go ahead and fasten off, but make sure you leave a nice long tail for sewing the top of your hat closed. We can set our stitch marker and hook aside. We're going to need to weave in our ends in a little bit too, but let's back up the camera here a little bit. So we can sew the top of our hat closed. So get your yarn needle, and we're going to thread up our yarn needle. And what I like to do is just weave in and out of the stitches on the top of the hat all the way around. I don't pull tight to start with, just weave in and out till I get back to the beginning. Once I get back to the beginning, then I'll pull it tight and put a few stitches across the top of the hat, then go down into the center of the hat, into the inside, and knot it off. Once you do that, then we're going to secure our Oscar the Grouch head to the top of the hat. So I'm going to continue this and sew up the top of the hat. Like I said, we're just going to keep going all the way around. We're almost back to the beginning. I don't know if you heard that, but my neighbors have very loud cars. Joys of living in the city. And here we are back to the beginning of the hat where we fastened off. Yep, there's our knot. So we're just going to pull tight. Kind of just hold it there and put some stitches to close it up. Not any set number of stitches, just however many you feel to get a nice secure closure on the top of your hat. I do a couple back and forth. And I kind of open it up and see like there's a little gap right there, so I'm going to grab another stitch right there. And see how that opens up a little, so we're just going to make sure we have a nice tight closure here on the hat. Lay it down, make sure everything looks good. And I might actually do just one more going this direction. So I want to make sure this is going to stay closed. And then go back the opposite direction. There, that looks better. So I have a nice tight hat top here. And just poke it down into the center. Turn the hat inside out. So we're going on the inside of the hat, and we're going to catch a few stitches so we can make a knot. And I'm going to do that one more time just to make sure I got a secure knot. I'm going to just make one more knot. Especially since this is a child's hat, we want to make sure that it's not going to come undone. Cut that off. And we just turn our hat inside out so that we can weave in all these ends. See, I had a knot in my yarn and I had to secure that, so I'm going to weave all these ends in, and then I'll be right back and we're going to finish off the bottom and put our Oscar the Grouch on. Before we attach the Oscar head to our hat, we're going to go ahead and put a row of single crochet around the bottom edge of the band so that when we flip it up, it'll have a nice edge, pretty edge to it. So with your hat facing right side out, you're going to hold your hat up like this so that, and open it up, and we're going to have the wrong side, or what would appear to be the wrong side, facing you. It's technically actually the right side because you're going to fold the band up. So it'll be the inside of the hat facing you. And you're going to go ahead and attach your yarn with a standing single crochet. And you can do that anywhere. I like to do it right before the join. So we're just going to pop your hook in there with your slip knot already attached to your hook. Pull your yarn through, and I like to go ahead and work over that tail if I can, and then complete your single crochet. And then you're just going to go ahead and go right over that join and just put one single crochet into the ends, working over the tail so that you don't have to weave that tail in later. So just like you did in the beginning, working that first round of the inner band, doing one single crochet, you're going to do that all the way around the bottom of the hat. But you're just working over the tail as well. You can pull the tail to the back and weave it in later, but it's a little bit quicker to do it this way, plus you can just kind of grab the tail and tug on it a little bit to tighten it up. But it's completely up to you how you want to work that. I like to leave just a little bit of that tail out and just pull it to the back and then finish it. That way I can snip it off. So I will meet back up with you at the end of this round. I'm all the way back around. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the very first single crochet that we made. And we're going to go ahead and fasten off and then weave in our ends. And then we'll be ready to attach our Oscar the Grouch head. So I'm going to go ahead and weave this end in, and I'll be right back. Alright, now we're ready to go ahead and put our little Oscar the Grouch head on. So we're going to snip that knot off and thread up the yarn needle and find the center of the hat and poke it down through. Bring it to the inside. And I caught a little bit of the yarn, so we're gonna go ahead and pull that through and tie a knot. And this is the directions that are on the label. And then what I do, just for some added security, is I'm going to bring it back through to the front of the hat, really close to the head. And tie another knot on the front of the head. And then I bring it around the back of the head and tie another knot. You don't have to do it this way. I just like to do it this way, so I have it. I just feel it gives it a little extra security on the head, so it doesn't come off. And I'm going to thread this back into the needle, bring it back down inside. Make sure it goes straight down. It doesn't catch any of the other stitches. So that thread right there is the knot from our, just make that a little bit shorter. That's the knot from our closing off the end of the hat. And I'm going to tie this again. Put one more knot in it, because I just like to make sure it's nice and tight. Then go ahead and snip those off. And make sure the seam, I like to put the seam in the back of the hat. So this is the back. We'll fold up the brim. And there is the completed hat. And let me just move this stuff out of the way. Give me a second. And then we can bring in the other hats that were all made. So you can see there's the one that we made together, and there's the Bert hat, the Count, and Ernie. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and happy crocheting! Bye-bye!